Today on Midlife Conversations, I've got my friend Lavinia Errico. She is the co-founder of Equinox, and we're going to talk a little bit about how that came about. But even more importantly, not only is she my friend, but she is the founder, the creator of MOVEJOY, which is a fascinating concept. When I say you feel good, like you feel really, really, really good after you do this. And it's so funny because when I did this with her, I said that, and she said, "That's so funny that you just said that. That's my tagline." And I thought that's amazing. So I wanted to unwind this because you're going to get a lot of great information on this episode today. The way I describe what Lavinia stands for, teaches, thrives with is a concept that all of us in midlife should be embracing. It's kind of like your morning routine, your lymphatic drainage, your creativity, you're moving your body, all the things rolled into one fascinating hour. It's amazing. So, Lavinia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank
So let's back up a minute because a lot of them don't know you, but they've heard of Equinox. Can you tell us a little bit about that, where that came from, and how you even co-founded that, where that came from?
Sure. So first of all, I co-founded that with my two brothers. I have a twin brother who's obviously the same age, and then I have a brother 1 year younger, and I have three sisters as well. But my mom said that we all came out of the womb running. We're just very physical. Loved movement. I started dancing at 5 years old, um, and that became my very happy place. And my brothers played sports and my sisters played sports, and that was just kind of our life. And I went off to go to college at USC, and I actually started a program there. That was my little entrepreneur hat. I guess I was about 19 years old, and I made flyers and passed them out to all the sorority girls. I got one of the maintenance men, and there was a little atrium at SC, and I asked the maintenance man, "Can I teach here?" And he's like, "I don't see why not." And I literally brought my little boom box and gave out flyers and
Wow.
started teaching. And
Talk about grassroots, like full grassroots. Like you didn't start from like this big vision. You just liked doing something and wanted to share it.
exactly, I always say that from a very young age, I had this little obsession because I loved moving so much and it was so my happy place that I wanted everyone to move. Even as a little girl, like I remember pretending I was the teacher and getting my three younger sisters and come on, we're going to do this exercise class. I don't know what that's about. I think I
You
just
still do that, Lavinia. When I was just visiting her recently, and she enrolled me in going line dancing past my bedtime. Now, I had never line danced. She had never line danced. And we get there with her friends, and we're all intimidated, not her. We're all intimidated because people like know what they're doing. And Lavinia just gets right out there. She's moving and going. She's like, let's go. It's fun.
I don't know. I have this saying, as long as I'm moving, I know I'm alive,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so then I started teaching a little more seriously. And then when I moved back to New York, I realized that at that time, the fitness world was really nothing nearly compared to LA.
Mm.
So at least in LA, we had options. In New York, it was horrific. There were some studios that were good, but that was really about it. And I actually wanted to open up a workout studio, and we were negotiating the lease for that. And the truth of it was, in those days, real estate developers or landlords, they did not want gym or fitness in their properties. They did
Wow.
not view that as an A tenant.
That's so funny because that's so changed, you know?
It's so changed. And I really like to believe that Equinox created that change, because prior to that, nobody wanted. It was like, they kept waiting for the restaurant. They kept waiting for the store. Anything like a gym. I was like, a gym? Anyway, and then my brothers and I kind of all were complaining a lot. We lived on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and they were developers and kind of very entrepreneurial. I was working for I was working for Lancome in their executive program. And we were just constantly complaining, somebody needs to open a great gym. Somebody needs to open a great gym. Somebody needs to open a great gym. And then finally, we did it.
Somebody was you. Somebody
Yeah.
was you.
It was us, I felt like we already did the market to see what the market wanted because all of our friends felt the same way.
Yeah.
All of our peers and people we would talk to, like somebody used to open a great gym. Anyway, that was really it. I mean, obviously, I simplified it a lot.
No,
However,
but I love that because that always reminds me, and I wanted you to tell that story again for people that don't know you yet, because you look at Equinox as one of the biggest success stories in fitness and gyms, like really. And we're also trained that you got to have this crazy vision detailed out and your full business plan and all the investors and all the things. And you really bring it back to no, you do something you love, you share it, it adds value to others, and it can turn into something amazing, which is, I know that we've simplified it, you simplified it. There's a lot more steps in between, but that's
right.
really how you started it, which is why I wanted to start that story before we shared this, because once again, you've done this. You have figured out something that was missing from the marketplace. And we're going
Mhm.
to get into that in a minute. Something that is very needed, especially for midlife women.
Yes.
And Lavinia and I are recently having this conversation that it can feel very frustrating at a gym sometimes. A lot of midlife women are into the gym. Got it. I'm personally into it. A lot are, but a lot of them are really not. And the reason is they don't feel good when they're there. They don't feel good about themselves. They get there, they're looking at everybody else, filming themselves for social media, wearing their little outfits and whatever it is. And it makes them feel bad. And that is not the goal of movement.
No. Yeah.
So tell us what you figured out.
So at that time, or we
Well, both times, but like,
yeah, I mean, again, and I think what you said, you were right on point is, I mean, I think that the gift with us was that there were three of us. So we each had like a superpower, right? Like
mhm,
even though we crossed over, but my one brother was like amazing at the real estate. And that's really hard in New York. Like, I mean, it's hard enough to rent an apartment in New York, let alone rent a space, right? So he was amazing at that and raising the money. And I could have never done that. Like, I
you
was more
stayed in your
like,
genius.
I was like more the customer service and the sales and the marketing. And, I loved the fitness end of it. So creating really innovative programming and then my other brother, I mean, his superpower, and he still is like a huge developer now. It's like he knows how to build the most beautiful spaces, like
Mm,
amazing. And he was also very much he picked out every single equipment that we had, and yeah, so we just kind of kept crossing over. So I do think that that was another huge benefit, that it wasn't one founder trying to
totally.
right brain, create content. Like we each had our genius.
Yes.
That's why to this day, I very rarely ever invest in a company that has one founder.
Wow, that's a good
Yeah,
point, actually. Yeah, because
very
you need
rarely.
all those different
Yeah,
areas.
because you need it, right? Like, so yeah, and then we were on our roll and we kept opening up one club and another club and the next club. And then through our own um, life, that's how we created the wellness center. It's like I literally jumped out of bed one day and landed flat on my face about 2.5 years into the opening of Equinox. And it was like, wait a minute, like, how could this be? I was literally 33 years old and I was in great shape. I mean,
Hmm.
physical shape. I mean, in those days, if you were fit, you were healthy. So we thought. And that
Yeah.
began the exploration of, okay, wait a minute. Like I am like fit. I am, I have a resting heart rate of 58. My body fat is
Hmm.
60%. My resting heart rate was low. My cholesterol was 148 with the HDL of very high. Like my blood pressure was 110/70. Like I was just peak athlete. And how is it that you're peak athlete and you're falling flat on your face? And that began the journey of, okay, what does it really mean to be healthy?
Mm.
Like if I am this fit and I'm not healthy, what does that look like? And after a couple of years of really exploring that, we created the Equinox Wellness Center. And that was really about that you have to be spiritually fit, mentally fit, emotionally fit, and physically fit. And today I would add two other things. I would add financially fit and sexually fit, but we didn't think in those ways,
Hmm.
years ago. So we created programming and we created a whole wellness center around that. And honestly, Natalie, like we got, I'm not going to say it hate mail, but I got people putting in the in the suggestion box, I can't believe you're involved in this quackery.
What?
Because, you know, people, they hear things like acupuncture and meditation and, you know, hypnotherapy.
Which is so common now, but I guess at the
Today.
time
But
it
in
was,
those
yeah.
days, it was, oh my God, that was like 1996.
Okay.
People were like, this is crazy. Stick to the gym business. However, a lot of the consumer, they were scared. They didn't know, right? They
Yeah.
just didn't know. It sounded, you know, however, the media was writing about us like crazy. So
So
that kind of
yeah.
morphed
So, and we all know, like you all have seen an now, even though they have sold it and it's not that they co-founded it and they've sold it. You all have seen the signature that it became. I mean, it became a really a look up to thing. So, Lavinia, take us into this next chapter because what you've created now is so, I mean, this is, I had to have you on this show. I had to have you on the podcast because I need women to know about this because truth of the matter is I was staying at your house and I knew you were doing this thing, right? You had invited me when you first started. I knew she did this thing. I called it like Lavinia's workout thing. That's what I was calling it. She's like, come take my MOVEJOY class. Come take it. I was like, well, I've seen it. She's like, no, you have not seen it now. And I did this thing and it is so good. I have not stopped telling my friends about it. I've told people on my team about it. So I need to understand like where did this come from? And let's talk about this because I think midlife women need to know about this.
Yes. Yeah, so I will say that first of all, everything that's in it is already out there. You know, there's breath work and there's movement and there's, you know, somatic release and there's visualization and visceralization and all of this stuff, right? However, the secret sauce is the sequencing of this because breath work, we all know it's a buzzword right now. Everybody knows we need to do breath work. I have done numerous breathwork workshops. I have an amazing breathwork teacher, but the truth of it is I wasn't doing breathwork every day. You know, there's just not enough time to do that. So when I went about 2-3 years ago, I went through a really challenging time, like many women do. I literally went through a divorce that I didn't see happening in the middle of COVID, and you know, and then unfortunately, I had some financial issues with my financial advisor who decided him making more money was more important than me making money. And I lost all this money. And, you know, and then I had another personal situation that happened. And honestly, Natalie, I was at I just every day, and I'm a happy person. Like I usually wake up ready to go, loving
Yeah,
life.
you are a happy person.
Yeah.
So
And I was waking up like just feeling a bit hopeless. I was just like,
mhm.
God, like my heart was just so broken. It was just broken. So I started, you know, talking to a couple of different people, talking to my doctor. And of course, you know, Western medicine loves to offer medicine. And maybe you need a
Mhm.
little anti-anxiety or you need a little anti-depression stuff. And energetically, when I tuned in, I was like, no, I don't. And not that it's great. People that take medicine, no problem. I just felt like I needed that there was going to be something else
Yeah.
away. And literally, the first thing I started doing, probably being a good, you know, good Christian girl, is I started praying.
Mhm.
So I started praying. And then I literally hear one day at the end of a prayer, I hear the word move. And I'm like, move. And I hear move. And I'm like, am I supposed to move out of my house? Like, am I moving? And anyway, like, but that kept coming in my head, move. And then one day I have this amazing tree outside my house and I love to hug it and be around it. And I just stood up and I just started moving, but I started adding the breath work into the movement. And I added the breath work into the movement. And then I was like doing some affirmations, or I would call them prayers, and putting that into it. And then moving and then moving. And then what I'm noticing is like, ooh, I feel good. Like,
Mhm.
first of all, when you start doing the movement, the oxygen goes to the brain and you're like, ooh. So I kept coming back there every day and I was doing it until finally I was like, and I had already been teaching an exercise class online. So I started incorporating this into my class and all the girls are like, I love all the new stuff, Lavinia.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Like, And what
So
I
you
was
were
doing,
doing like a standard workout and
I
you
was
were
doing more of
discovering
a
this
standard workout. I was
and
just
you,
doing a
okay.
standard
But you
workout.
started introducing some of these things that you're
So as
figuring out.
yeah, and like when I was doing the standard workout, it was like sometimes they come, sometimes they wouldn't. Like people would have excuses. Oh, I had an early meeting, whatever. All of a sudden, I notice as I'm doing this, everybody's coming, nobody's missing. The consistencies went from like being, like this to all of a sudden every week people are showing up every 3 days. Like it shifted dramatically.
Do you
And
think that's because, like, so what do you attribute that to? Because, like, if I rewind, I think I hear so many women say things like, I have to work out, like
I,
they're making themselves do it.
right.
But I feel like when you do this, it's like, you feel so good that it's like the going back for sugar, like you
No,
want more.
no, I've had husbands say to me, "Oh my God, it's like this is like crack for my wife. Like she just like has to get it in."
Yeah.
And the thing that's so amazing is a lot of these women are not movers. Like
Mm-mm.
they are women that would work out for a week and then wouldn't work out for 3 weeks. And then we're like, oh, I got to get back to the gym. And then they'd work out and then they wouldn't work out. And now they are literally so consistent. So, and the thing that's amazing is every one of them, when they go for their annual checkups now, the doctors are like, oh my God, your blood work has never looked like this. Your inflammation
Whoa.
is down. Your like, what are you doing? And then they say, I'm doing this thing called MOVEJOY. And so that's how I've gotten actually even a lot of doctors starting to recommend people because it's just, it's just, you do feel so good. The sequencing of the way it's been built,
Mhm.
because it's really built that the first 12 minutes, first where we're just releasing the energy. So we
Okay.
want to like, it's as if somebody's coming and putting acupuncture needles all over you to just release it, to release it. And we release, we let it go. It's like primal therapy.
Hmm.
We're letting it go. We're inhaling love. We're exhaling fear, inhaling love, exhaling energy. Like we let it go. We're opening up the cervical spine. Like all of a sudden I mean, since I've been doing this for a year and a half, I haven't needed to go to the chiropractor. And I'm usually the woman that was at least once a month, girl, probably twice.
Oh, wow.
Now, like, because normally when you would work out, it's like you're working out, like, oh, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And you make your body even tighter. Like you don't realize it's like energetically, it's like you gotta do it. It makes you tense. But this one, we're loosening, we're opening, we're breathing, we're releasing. And then we start building. Once we've had this release, now we start doing more of like traditional fit,
Okay.
but we've already gotten the body to feel so good. And we're
It's kind of
still,
like, okay, do you know how when you go to church, how they do it's like worship music first
yeah,
to get you to open up and then you're ready for the sermon? It's kind of like that feeling, but for the workout, if that makes sense. Like you're opening up first and now you're really ready.
I have to tell you something really funny because a girlfriend of mine who takes this and her husband doesn't really know me that
Mhm.
well, but he keeps walking in and out of the room while she's doing it. And he said to her at the end of one class, he goes, that's like a ministry.
That's
He said
funny.
to her, he
Yeah,
said,
but I can see why he
you
said that.
he said, "You like that because it feels like that." He said, because this is his wife who just never liked working out. Like to
Yeah.
her, working out was like horrible. And she comes running every morning. So I do think unconsciously I didn't build it to be like that, but it feels like that. It feels like
Mhm.
first we're filling ourselves up with love, with joy, with God, with universe, with higher being, higher presence, right? And then when you're moving from that place, ah, and you're feeling so good,
Mhm.
yeah, and then you're just, so it's an activation. It's literally, it's a mind activation. It's an energy activation. It's a spirit activation.
Lauren
And
on my team called it a glow flow. She did it. She's like, it's like a glow flow. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, that's kind of funny. I love
no,
that. Yeah, it
it
is.
really,
So when I would rewind it as is we all hear that we should be doing these morning routine things. Like I mean, let's just be real. Like some of my friends actually really do morning routines, and a lot of them they keep saying they're going to, but it's hard to do. For me, for that person that is working out, that's active, what I like about this, it kind of it habit hacks. It's habit stacks. It basically takes something you want to do and it puts it with other things that maybe you haven't been doing or been meaning to do. Because
right,
like you mentioned, like the breath work, the the prayer, the movement, the lymphatic, like there's so many,
We do
it's like a big morning
tapping,
routine in one
energy,
thing.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. It's literally, I've taken all the things that we know these modalities have been around for hundreds of years. They're proven. They are proven. The science can prove that you will benefit. So I've taken all of that and I've put it into a
Mhm.
45 to an hour movement, and you get it all.
By the way, I have a lot more questions for Lavinia, so don't jump off this podcast yet. But what I wanted to say for those of you that are like, oh, I need to learn what this is or do more. Lavinia has offered, which I'm really excited about, on May 18th. So depending on when you're listening to this, on May 18th, she's gonna do a live class, a live activation session where she not only does this whole thing where you could do the whole process for free with her, you can like check this out, but she's going to also be on and answer like all kinds of questions about how you can incorporate this in and things like that. So I'll share this more again at the end of the episode and it'll be in the show notes. But if you go to midlifeconversations.com/movejoy, so midlifeconversations.com/movejoy, you can sign up for this free class and you can be on with us. I'm going to be doing it live with her. It'll be fun. Sorry, but I want to. So, Lavinia, what are some of the results you're seeing from this from women?
Well, like I said, first of all, I would say number one, the consistency. And as we know, consistency is the way to success, right? So because of that, I've had, I don't even love to talk about the weight because that I feel like is just a byproduct, but I've had women, in the last year and a half lose
Mm-hmm.
up to 40 pounds. And the truth is they really haven't changed the food drastically. But
Wow.
what
So
I've
just
noticed,
moving their body and doing these
well,
things.
yeah, but what I notice is, when you start your day i- in discipline, when you start your day in intention, the way you start is very often you're setting the tone for the rest of the day.
Okay,
So
that is gold right there because this is something that I feel like everyone listening innately knows, but we're not all doing it. I'm guilty of it too. I did it this morning.
listen, if
I'm
I
like, I'm
start,
gonna do my routine, and I instead grab my phone and I get distracted, and then I'm in a bad mood, and the whole thing.
yeah, look, the way I say it, if you start your day with bagels and cream cheese, you're going to probably end your day with cake. But it's just the way it is. And nobody loves a bagel more than I do, but I only let myself have it on Sundays because I know the chances are if I start my day like that, the rest of the day is going to be the same,
Yeah.
the same. So when you start your day, like you really start your day in, first of all, in self-love, because
Mhm.
when you're moving, you are basically saying, I'm important.
Yeah.
I'm important. This hour, I am putting myself on the radar to say, this is important. My health, my well-being, my vitality, you know, all of it, like
Yeah.
if you don't have your health, you have
It's
nothing.
true.
So it's really about like saying like, I'm showing up for me. So I'm putting
Yeah.
myself on, I'm doing this class. And then you do it and you walk out of there. And like I said, I have people losing, who's lost from 25 pounds to,
Whoa.
oh no, we've really had some amazing.
Without changing all the other things. I
Not
believe
a
that's
lot,
true too, because
but I
it's
will say, like what they've said to me was, Lavinia, since I used to be the person that would go to the mall and would circle and circle and circle just to get a parking spot closest to the elevator. And now that they're doing it, they say, I don't do that anymore. I actually park in the back and I enjoy now I walk. So
huh.
it's the mind, it shifts everything. Like this thing helps you break patterns. We have physical patterns, we have emotional patterns, we have mental patterns. When you start moving in a different way and you move a breath and you get the neurons in the brain to start firing up a little differently, all of a sudden it makes other patterns change too.
Yeah.
This is built on so much of that. So many of the women are like, I used to never do that. It used to be so much harder for me not to eat that burger or not to get the French
Hmm.
fries and get the salad on the side. And they're like, it's so much easier now because you're breaking some patterns when you're doing this with the breath work, with the movement. We release traumas, we're releasing emotional blockages. A lot of those traumas and
Mhm.
emotional blockages are what's making us actually want to go for the sugar or the salt. It's those things that we're getting triggered through the course of the day, which makes you want to eat, right? Those
So the other thing
emotions.
that I realize is, so when I teach fat loss, or when I teach like this, the signature part of anything I teach is that you have to start with decision and vision. So
Right.
like you decide what you want and then you get very clear on your vision. What I experienced doing this with you was that you're reminded of your decision and vision intentionally during that session. So you said like it's the 45 minutes of the whole flow and the whole movement, but like that whole 45 minutes, you're so connected to that decision and vision, and you're moving your body. So it's kind of like, it's just like sealing it in. So I
Yes.
feel like that's how, because when we operate from that place, everything turns out better. Where I think a lot of times women, I hear this all the time, they're not operating from that place. And now they're making themselves go to the gym and they're in this bad mood and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go through the motions. And then they're like, oh, I was supposed to journal today. I was supposed to do breath. It's like, it becomes this like chore of a
And
thing.
then you start doing a whole shame bath on everything you didn't do. Yeah, and I think, for me, and I was a bit of a gym rat, obviously, but it's actually so nice to be able to do it at home. And that was another thing that women said. They're like, I'm so much more consistent because before, by the time you can't go
Mhm.
to the gym looking, you have to put some makeup on and you have to feel
Well,
like
you
you
don't have to, but we all want to.
we all do.
So,
Nobody wants to
yeah.
walk into the gym,
Yeah.
especially they have those horrible fluorescent
No,
lights.
when we were 20, we could do that, but now it
Yeah,
doesn't feel
no,
good.
you have to so by the time, it's 45 minutes by the time you get yourself together and then you drive to the gym and then you go to, whatever, you get in there and then it's another, half an hour. If you don't have 2 hours minimum, you're not getting that workout in. And now
Mhm.
they can do it and they're doing it. I have women doing it in their pajamas.
I know. I
Kind of
saw that because I was on with you. Yeah.
yeah, they go on their pajamas,
It's
they
cute.
go on their sneakers and they go. And so that's like another thing is that you're getting it. And the other thing is, years ago, when I look back at Equinox and we used to have like our 10:30 or 11 o'clock class, those women were all middle-aged women, so they'd be in there together and everybody was kind of, you could feel good because everybody was
Mhm.
middle-aged. You were from, 50 up to whatever, and even beyond. It's not like that today. I went and took a class a couple weeks ago at 10:30 in Brentwood. They were all, because everybody's working remotely. They were all 25-year-olds in that
Oh,
class.
yeah. So you kind of
It's
lose that
all,
whole
so
fitting
here you
feeling
are
like,
walking in, everybody's ripped and got this, these sexy little bodies. And you're just, like, you're just remembering. It's not like, oh God, I used to be able to do that. I used to be
yeah.
able
Oh, that's another thing when you and I were talking about. I forgot about that's a very real thing too, is that comparison of like, I used to.
and at the end of the day, like I celebrate who I am today. Like I I that's what this movement does. It makes you love you. You
Yeah.
know, all of you, the messy you, the organized you, the train wreck you, the godlike you, the perfect you, like all of it. Like we just
Mhm.
have to learn to love ourselves, all of it. The whole part of who we are.
Which is really easy to say. And I think it's hard for women to hear. And I get, but that's what I loved about this whole experiment doing this with you, because you can't help but to feel that.
Right.
That's why when I said, oh, I feel good, I feel really, really good. And you said, that's my tagline. I get why that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're letting the judgment go. We're letting the criticism go. Like we're really getting that monkey off of our back. We're getting that old story out. We're really releasing that. And I really believe that when we do release some of these emotional traumas, and when we release that, we do feel better. Like I
Yeah.
just feel for myself, my thing is when I get down or I get depressed, I don't eat. Like I lose my appetite. And that's why, like when I went through that, I was 20 pounds thinner. I was very, I mean, whenever I would grab food, I just couldn't, it couldn't. So for me, once I started doing this, I started feeling good again.
Hmm.
So I could actually look at food and say, okay, I'm gonna nourish myself today. I'm gonna nourish myself. I'm gonna give myself what it needs, right? So,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I've seen a lot of the women say that they don't have like that the binge eating that they had before. They don't have that. Like they've created some new patterns, have come out of it. So
So,
we
Lavinia, how important is doing this in the morning? Like, because I know, like, for example, we're going to do the session that we do for everyone listening that wants to join. I hope you'll join us, but we're going to do it in the morning. Well, it'll be morning Pacific time, so it'll be kind of midday East Coast
yeah.
time. But do you think it's important to do in the morning? Is it more, or is it more important just to do when people like that ideal time for them? Have you ever done it at night? Like, what's your?
I do one, an evening one. Um, I mean, I just happen to like, because for me, it's the way I start my day. Like when I start my day in discipline, when I start my day in self-love, when I start my day in self-respect, and even in community, because we are in
Mhm.
community when we do it, and people can go into breakout rooms and chat afterwards. But and you're in that community, and you're moving like you feel good. It's a great way to start the day. So my preference would be for people to do it. Now, at the end of the day, when people, for years people say to me, Lavinia, what's the best workout? What's the best workout? And I'm thinking, look, I could design you the best workout, but at the end of the day, it's the one that you're going to do.
You know
And so,
what? You just gave me a complete aha moment because I get that same question with nutrition.
yeah,
And I've had that with workout too. And I always want to say, like, I have that similar answer. Like, it doesn't matter what process I give them. If they're not doing it from the right mindset place, like all those other things have to be in place or it's not going to matter. The right
yeah.
intention, the right, all of that. So that it's also giving me an epiphany of why this whole system works.
Yeah, and also because if you have to get it in. So if it's something designed, oh, I have this A+ thing designed, but you don't do it, it's a waste. So whatever movement, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to stop the aging or you want to slow the aging process down, you've got to move.
Mm,
And at our ages, and I'm a bit older than you, we have to realize that we're only as strong as our weakest ligament, our weakest tendon, our weakest muscle. And very often, women are running into these classes that aren't really designed for us. They're not designed
that's true. And
for
I'm guilty of doing it too, Lavinia. I
and then
still
we get
might,
injured.
yeah, and
We
that's
get
what happens to
injured.
me. I'm
So
guilty of it too, because that's like because we go back to what we did at 20 or whatever it is.
exactly. And at the end, we can still get those great results, but doing things in a way that is really safe for our ligaments, for our tendons, for our weakest muscles, right? And yeah, so most of the classes are live, but we on them with the membership, they do have. We'll have actually we're creating something this week because I have this woman here whose specialty is the feet. And
Mm.
she really builds the feet. And now that I'm working with her, I realize, wow, my
Oh,
feet
wow.
are
See, this is
more.
what I love about you. You're always adding in like what you're personally walking through, what you're personally experiencing. And you truly are. This is why you were so cutting edge with Equinox. This is why you're so cutting edge right now with MoveJoy is because you're walking the walk and you're going, how do I make this better? What I also want to share about Lavinia, this is kind of cool. But when she first started practicing this, we were at an event. It must have been like 2 years ago when you started really diving into this. And she said, I have to go lead a, or she didn't use the word I have to, but she said, I've got to go lead a Zoom for my women. She said, I have a group of about 5 women. And we were at this whole event. I was like, why are you going to go do it for 5 women? And she's like, well, because I need to show up for them. And I really loved that about you. And I watched that you saw something that worked for you and you said, I'm going to show up for these women. You didn't care if it was 1 woman, 5 women, or 5,000 women. You're like, I will show up for them because this is important. And you consistently did this habit, not only for yourself, but for these women. And now it's been built and turned into this whole movement.
You know, I think when you do something like pure from the heart and you believe in it, and like you do show up, I think that's where the magic is. When I see people, they're only going to show up for when it's like the main stage or
Yeah,
big thing. I don't know. I
it's
think
true.
there's something energetically. There's something energetically that's a little bit off that just never really. And again, I
I'm with
know
you.
that MOVEJOY, it helps me. And I don't think at that time I was completely articulating that, but I feel better when I do it.
Mm.
So I want to feel I mean, I'm 64 years old. Like
And if
I
you're watching this on video, by the way, if you're not, you got to look at the YouTube and see. She's 64. Lavinia is killing the game. Like you, amazing.
and I want to, I know I have a contract to live to at least 105,
All
and I
right.
want to be moving and act.
Yes.
I want my brain to be active, and I want my heart to be open, and I want to say yes. And we went on that line dancing, and I brought in the instructor
I
last.
saw that on your Instagram. I
It
love that
was so
about
much
you.
fun, and now we're going to do it every week. We're going to do a line dancing with a bunch of women, and we're going to do it, over here at
Oh
this
my
community.
gosh. Can we do it when I'm out there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what life is about. Like, that's when you stay young. Like when people say to me, Lavinia, how do you stay so young? And trust me, I haven't really done cosmetic surgery. It's nothing major. And I really feel like it's because I just keep learning and growing, and I get excited. I get curious.
Mm-hmm.
I get excited about life. That's an attitude. Always say your thoughts, your words, your feelings, your attitude is what creates your life, right? So it's like, and sometimes I have to fake it. Like sometimes I'm like want to be in a bad mood, or I'm a little realizing that's gonna be a setback. Come on, Lavinia. And for me, I always just go to my gratitude. As soon as I connect into like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful. And then I can shift out of that, and then I can play with life again. And we have
Yeah.
to play. Like playing and laughter and joy it keeps us young. Like it's so young. It really is so good. Even when I'm reading a lot about brain health, and they are really talking a lot about when you do things, and that's what MOVEJOY is about. Like
Oh,
we
I forgot you even do that in there too. You do like a few little fun little, I don't want to ruin it for you guys when you do it with us, but she does these few little tricks that's for your brain health too in there.
But it's also that you do it with thinking about it with play and fun
Mm-hmm.
and excitement, because they say that when you move like that and the brain is feeling play and joy, and it actually gets the neurons in the brain fired up quicker, whereas it normally takes about 400 repetitions. But when you do it with joy and play, that you in 20 to 30 repetitions, you're actually creating
So
new.
good.
So I mean, all of that stuff is what I believe keeps me alive and ready, because we have to be ready for life. Like, you know, if you are not spiritually ready, mentally ready, emotionally ready, and physically ready, when life comes at you, man, your nervous system, you're like, but
Yeah.
when your body's strong, your mind's strong, your energy is strong, we can handle so much more, and we feel so much better. I mean, you could see I'm so passionate about
Oh,
this.
I know. And you fully get it. And this is why I'm so grateful that you even offered to do this for my community. You guys, if you've been listening to my podcast for some time or you know me, like anytime I learn something new, especially in midlife that's going to level us up, I'm bringing it to you and showing it to you. This is cutting edge. This is going to blow up in a good way. And I want to give you all an opportunity to experience this before you find out about it like some too late. I want you to jump in and do this now. So here's the thing. We're going to do a free class, totally free, just for my community on May 18th. All you have to do to sign up, we'll have this all in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's below. If you're listening to this on podcast, it's in the show notes. But you also can go to midlifeconversations.com/movejoy. This is a one-time session that we are doing totally free. I'll be on there with you doing it. I'll introduce her. She's going to lead this session with you, and then she's going to stay on and answer questions and help you so you can incorporate this into your life if you love it, and you will. So I hope you'll join us. Lavinia, what are some final things you want people to know? You're talking to a bunch of midlife women right now. And can men do it? They want to know. Can a guy come do it if they hear this?
Yes, everybody can do it for sure. Yeah, I just want you to know that it's designed for you. Like, yes, if you may have to modify depending on any injury you have, but is that it's designed for you. yeah, just to
And
make
she'll help you modify, by the way. So you don't have to
yeah,
worry about that if you're
yeah,
worried about
help
that.
you feel good. And yeah, I'm like, I just want, like, I'm obsessed.
I
Like,
know you are.
I'm
And I love this.
obsessed with helping this demographic that I'm in just stay healthy, like
Mhm.
stay alive, stay inspired. Like it's an obsession of mine, in the best way, in a good way. And so,
And you're literally the girlfriend that you all listening didn't even know you needed, and you need her. She's that girl that we need in midlife that is going is she's your cheer girl. She's the one that's going to keep us going. She levels it up for us. So thank you for all you stand for and for being so passionate and for creating this. I'm a new fan. Love it, love it, love it. And I can't wait for those of you listening to hopefully come experience it with us. I don't know if we'll have 10 of you on or 1,000 of you on. It doesn't matter. Show up. We want to help do this. You'll have so much fun doing this with us. Thank you so much, Lavinia. Thank you.
thank you. Appreciate it.